Yo, Brawlers, this is your man, Glass Chin, and you're watching Glass Chin's Boxing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yo, Brawlers, so the full undercard for the Tyson Fury vs Dillian Whyte fight has been announced with less than 20 days to go until the big one. Let's just say I won't be in too much of a hurry to leave the fan zone, or box park, or whatever it's called, to get to the stadium early. There's a few okay fights on there, but nothing that really gets my juices flowing. Isaac Lowe vs Nick Ball isn't a bad little scrap. It's for the WBC silver belt at featherweight. I'm just in two minds about this fight. It's actually a competitive little fight, but as a chief support at a stadium fight, I think it may stink the place out. It shouldn't be this high on the card, and it doesn't deserve to be. As a fight for the boxing purists watching on a normal fight card at home, it's a great little fight. Problem is, I expected to go the full 12 round distance, which there is nothing wrong with normally. Not all fights can end in a knockout, and it's boxing at the end of the day, but I don't think there will even be the threat or an expectation of a knockout in this fight, and 95% of the fans probably won't even know who either of the fighters are. As a stadium fight, before the main event, they need to be trying to boost the atmosphere for the 95,000 people watching live. I don't think this fight works as a chief support, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of booing coming from the crowd during this one. For the casual fan base, I can't see a lot of interest in this at all. Had it been an early fight on the card, while the stadium is still filling up with people, I think it would have been an okay addition. Which is kind of the same problem with the next fight I'm going to talk about. Anthony Cache vs Jonathan Romero may actually be the best and most competitive fight on the undercard. Not sure why the ex-IBF Super Bantamweight World Champion and former Olympian is ranked so low on BoxRec. Maybe due to Romero's inactivity with his 9-year 11-fight unbeaten run being a little stop and start. I actually thought he might have retired, to be honest with you, because I haven't heard from him for a while. Surprised he hasn't been in with a big name sooner. But he hasn't tasted defeat since he lost his world title to Kiko Martinez in 2013. So it would be a good little win for Cache. I don't know, Brawlers. I just think both them fights, Cache and Lowe, work as normal undercard fights, but for a show of this size to get the crowd pumping before the main event, half the crowd might be seen napping on the TV. They really are fights for the purist and not for the casual pay-per-view market. David Adelaide vs Chris Healy isn't really going to set the world on fire, but Healy is coming off a career-best win over Danny Whittaker. He should give Adelaide some rounds. He hasn't been stopped in 5 years. But let's be honest, even though I'm not really sold on Adelaide, I think he will get lost in a domestic shuffle sooner or later. I can't see this fight being any more than a one-sided win by Adelaide. Okay, this fight isn't bad if it's the first on the live broadcast, but it shouldn't be anywhere near the top of the card. Adelaide needs to be out more regularly and he needs to start taking a few little step-ups. There's still talk of him fighting Nathan Gorman, but he's nowhere near ready for that level. Adelaide doesn't seem to have improved much since his gifted win over Kamil Sokolowski. I guess this fight will at least bring some excitement and should end early, but I would have liked to have seen Adelaide test himself a little bit more. Tyson Fury's brother Tommy Fury, 7-0, is taking on Polish light heavyweight Daniel Bosianski, 10-1. I'll be honest, I've never heard of the guy, but on paper it's actually quite a decent step up for Tommy. And BoxRec have the guy listed at 6'3", so it'd be interesting to see if they can both make weight. Tommy has been looking like he needs to move up to cruiserweight for quite some time. When I say a decent step up, I'm not making out that the guy is world class, but compared to the guys Tommy has been fighting, this isn't actually that bad. Tommy gets a lot of stick for his level of competition, but it's what you would expect from a young novice. If he didn't have the Fury surname, no one would even bat an eyelid. Tommy has lost a lot of credibility pulling out of the Jake Paul fight, but I think this is the only undercard fight that I actually have any buzz about watching. The fight is scheduled for 6 rounds. I think unless Tommy shows what we are told he is capable of doing in the gym, then I think he may struggle in this fight. Not saying he will lose, as I imagine he had plenty of notice for this fight, and he has been training hard since coming back from his rib injury. I suspect Daniel Bosianski will most likely be spending the next few weeks struggling to cut weight after only being offered the fight on late notice. But if both guys have had equal notice, this may turn out to be a good little fight. But again, as one of the first fights on the broadcast, it's not actually that bad. The real problem is the lack of co-main event. I'm not even going to bother talking about the rest of the undercard, as they are all novice fighters that I don't mind being on the card, but I wouldn't expect them all to be on the TV part of the show. Frank Warren has a decent number of fighters in his stable, and I would have expected to have seen some of the bigger names. I know some are injured and have fights signed, or some are waiting for their mandatory spots, including Yarde, Daniel Dubois, Callum Johnson, Sonny Edwards, and Zach Parker. But David Avanesian and Dennis McCann should be ready to go again quickly. I'm not sure why Archie Sharp isn't on this card. Maybe he's injured or they're saving him for the Andrade vs Parker card. Maybe the same for Landon Arthur. He should be looking to get out soon, so no real reason why he couldn't be on this card. Willie Hutchinson has been out for over a year. so surely he could have been put on a card just to pad it out a little bit. The biggest surprise to me is that Joe Joyce isn't on this card. Joyce is back training and could have had a tune-up. Christian Hammer is free after Jared Anderson got injured. Even on a few weeks' notice, Joyce should still win that fight. Oh, I don't know, Brawlers. I'm starting to ramble a bit, but I just think this is a poor card. Part of me is now worried that I'll get too drunk in Leicester Square or in the box park and miss the main event altogether. I'm not trying to be nasty to the guys that are fighting, because I'd watch any of these fights individually on this card, but as a whole I just think it's poor. The two fights on before Fury and Whyte will most likely be technical 12-rounders, not really creating the buzz needed for such a big event. Carl Froch versus George Grove had a great undercard, with James DeGale, Kevin Mitchell, Anthony Joshua and Jamie McDonald all fighting on the undercard, all four guys winning by stoppage. If the Fury vs Whyte main event doesn't live up to the hype, then the fans may end up feeling cheated. Fury vs Wilder 2 and 3 had great undercards. Maybe top-ranked Sky deal was getting in the way of them helping Warren out, but something must be going on behind the scenes. I wonder how much the pay-per-view sales will be affected by this poor undercard. What do you think, Brawlers? Is the undercard better than I'm giving it credit for? Do you think it's complete shite? Is there any of the fights you even want to watch? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And as always, Brawlers, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.